Okay, so we're playing round two here. We have our 80 card opening deck, but we have three colors with the monstrosity, with the chain throat seeker, and the exoskeleton. So no mulligan here. Any kind of reasonable hand with this 80 card deck is keepable, especially if it's got multiple colors. So long as he doesn't get too aggressive of a start. Um, Claw. He's playing Infect. I saw a little bit of what he had. The fact that he's not playing an Infect creature here gives me a lot of hope for this. Although having first strike is really annoying for an Infect creature. So this is a really good pick for us. The Plenty of Mirror is going to let us get that monstrosity down that much faster. It's going to let us get our exoskeleton hopefully before he can get his first strike up. Um, and then that'll let the Throat Seeker be just that much better. And first strike is good with Infect, but on creatures so big and that are assisted with the exoskeleton, they don't really help all that much as they're able to take them out anyway. So hopefully this monstrosity will get a hit in exoskeleton wise. Otherwise, we could also suit up the mirror. We can just have the Throat Seeker back for defensive duty. We have a lot of options as far as what we can do here. So nothing, just land. That's interesting. So I guess we go ahead and go with the monstrosity. Can't really cast the implant yet, obviously. We could go with the Throat Seeker, and then next turn play Exoskeleton, equip the Paladin Mirror, and swing with that. Um, but I kind of like just going with the Monstrosity here. We can follow up with Throat Seeker. We can follow this up with Exoskeleton. We have a lot of options. Um, but we're really forcing him to react here. Okay, stuck on 3 land again. Okay, great. Turn the Tide is fantastic. Actually, that's actually pretty good with the Viridian Claw. It's going to really screw with what he's expecting to be able to do. So if he didn't have anything for it last turn, I imagine he probably would have used it then. So we'll get the Exoskeleton down. We'll equip it to the Monstrosity and we'll swing. Okay, and that makes him lethal next turn, makes the Paladin Mirror lethal next turn with Exoskeleton on it. Pretty hard for him to come back. And again, because mana trouble with our opponent, we're able to steal these games, it looks like. Okay, that's game one. That's incredible. Uh, so we'll go ahead and get the real deck here. Tangle Core is not going to help against some of his flyers, so we'll just go ahead and not put that in. Um, Empyrean's not as strong because we're playing against Infect mostly. Um, Although we did steal quite a bit of an effect, so he might not be full-fledged effect. So we'll go ahead and keep it in. Well, let's take a look and see what we have otherwise. Dimension Bat is gone. Servant is gone. Strove, Verbor. This might be a good place to put the servant in place of the Empyrean. Drake. Bonds. Bonds of Quicksilver is actually pretty good against him. Turn the Tide is not that good. So let's see. We did the plated. We don't have the Flesh Eater Imp in. That's definitely one that we should have in. And we had the Quicksilver Bond. Is that better than the Servant? I don't think it is. It's pretty slow. And we'll be done with that. Still not a huge need for black mana. And with some double blues and a lot of blue activation costs, we want to keep 10 islands. But taking another game one is huge because it gives us 2 games with our real deck, where our fake deck with some lucky mana was able to take the game. Lucky mana and the grafted, again, proving its worth. Plague Mirror, that gets us into a Wing Splicer. There's a Parasitic implant that we can get if we get our black mana up, which will lead to a Limit Drake, so no mulligan here. I think this is a pretty good, strong start for us. This time we're going to attack through the air, hopefully delaying our opponent long enough. That Plague Mirror can trade out with a small guy, as can the Wing Splicer, and still leave behind a 3/3 that, while not having flying, is still going to be pretty strong for us. So, and our opponent did mold a 6, so bear that in mind as well. But if we get this black for the Parasitic Implant, that is probably going to be very much to our advantage. Okay, no black for the Implant, but we do get the Monstrosity, so that's actually better, provided we can get mana now. We just need any mana. We'll get the Splicer out this turn, hopefully. And then if we draw a Swamp, we can use the Implant. If we draw any land, we can cast the Monstrosity. Regardless, we'll probably cast the Monstrosity and then let the Implant come down later on something a little bit more threatening than a Golden Mirror, even what he cast for 4 here. After the Monstrosity, we can cast the Drake, and then we can cast the Implant. You know, we have a lot more options open to us for delaying and just being really annoying. Getting damage into. Okay, so still no black. That's going to probably be good for defense at some point in this game. But right now, we are really hoping to draw another land next turn. If not another land, then at least something to play. Preferably an artifact that will help us get Metalcraft and bounce next turn. That would put a minor hitch in our plan, but not that big of one, if that was the case. Okay, so the claw comes down. Not going to do all that much just yet. If he does swing, he's going to leave himself open for a little bit more damage from us, which is fine. Okay, so he just holds back and keeps that Plague Mirror at home, which is a fine play. So keeps the Splicer down and keeps the Plague Mirror down. He has mana up too. So we didn't get our 4th land. We didn't get a swamp. Right now, we do have an option of going Drake, so we don't waste this turn, and we put a little bit more flying pressure on him, and I think that's what we're going to do. Definitely don't like the fact that we didn't get the bounce out of it, but it is significantly better to cast it and get a 2/2 flyer in the air than it is to just waste this time waiting for him to be able to cast something next turn. He'd get this claw down, although he might just be holding something off with that claw. He might be holding this Drake off next turn with whatever he claws up. It's a lot of ifs. I think we're going to go ahead and just play this Drake. and hopefully this decision will come to bite us in the butt. Essentially, you need to have him not have a flyer and then not have the mana to equip it this turn at least for that to be a worthwhile play. Then again, if we don't draw land this turn, having that Drake in play and attacking is probably going to be our best route for victory. So we'll see what he does here for 5 mana or 4 and the mirror. Now, one of the advantages of having mixed infect and not infect is that we can use this Air Force to kind of see where that gets us as far as threatening to kill him with damage, or at least get ahead in the race where he's not doing any kind of pressure on us right now. Okay, so there's a Scourge Servant. It's not going to affect our flyers at all. That's something we can hold off pretty much indefinitely. We can implant it. We can play our own Scourge Servant. We can have Etched Monstrosity and still have that survive if we happen to draw another island. So we won't be able to get this monstrosity down. That will hopefully take care of the servant, or help take care of the servant. We can just chump it, or we can take the damage hit for 1 turn. I kind of like doing that. So what I'm going to do here is attack with the Drake and the Golem. Get our 5 in. Keep up the pressure. Get our monstrosity down. We're going to take a servant hit here. Just because there's not a lot that he can do to pump. We don't want to sacrifice our Splicer just yet. We want to get some more damage on him. Now, if he did something crazy like double equip the claw, and then cast and equip another piece of equipment on that, then we could think about doing the Splicer. Because at that point, the Splicer's flying doesn't really come into play since he doesn't have any flying himself. I should say that he might even just hold back here, knowing that this hit is not going to be that productive for him. Yeah, he just holds back, and that is real interesting. Flesh Eater Imp that we cannot cast, Chain Throat Eater that we cannot cast. It's real frustrating. He's got a lot of mana open that he can do some sort of trick on the Wing Splicer to make it basically have the Golem fall into his hands. He's got 3 cards in hand. If we hold back the Golem here and just attack with the Drake, that seems like an awfully passive play, but it is the one that protects us the most against a quick win from his part. And that Wing Splicer could die to just about anything, so we're just going to go ahead and attack with the Drake here only. It does seem like a bit of a passive play, but given that our hand is pretty strong as it is, and that we have the ability to finish off this game, and he has so much mana open, I don't see this really as taking too big of a risk. So there's that virulent wound that we were worried about. That's definitely something that we were concerned about. He doesn't get the free Golem hit, which is great. He doesn't kill the Plague Mirror, which is going to be helpful for us in trying to get that Throat Seeker. But we really kind of want to get Not sure what we want to do here. We could try to win by. So he's going to do some damage to us here. We're just not attack with this thing. That actually will give us a lot of time to do whatever we want to do and hopefully draw some cards. So the numbing dose is going to ping us, but we're not really worried about our life because he's mostly trying to kill us with infect. It's not always going to be the case, but right now I think we're in okay shape. Provided, especially if we can get some more. We're going to take that damage, but still not going to die to it, probably. Okay, so we can at least cast this. We're going to attack with the Drake again. And even in a situation where we need to attack for a big one, we still have one more attack in this guy if we're not worried about him tapping down. So he could actually factor in as an attacker at some point, especially with us getting Chrome Steed and Golem up. Even with chump blockers, he's just going to run out of life here really soon. Before we even get to our black mana or even our Throat Seeker. Okay, so there's Plate Stinger. Plate Stinger with the claw is really annoying. So, and there's a Thrumming Bird. The Thrumming Bird can hurt us with our Monstrosity. Anything that gets a +1/+1 counter or -1/-1 counter on it's going to be annoying with the Thrumming Bird. So the first strike is still up. I'm wondering at this point if we make a big push. How is this going to affect what we do here? If we just attack with the 2/2, he's either going to take 2 points of damage or trade in his Plate Stinger and his Thrumming Bird, which I think is he doesn't have any combat tricks. We have to keep that in mind as well. We could lose the Chrome Steed at the expense of doing 3 points of damage to him, losing the Drake probably, and losing the Monstrosity. I don't think I like that. I think I like just trading the Drake here. Getting his flyers down because he's not going to realize how important those flyers are once we go Flesh Eater Imp. Of course, if he does this, we might even just put the Implant down on the Servant and force him to draw a decent card next turn. So if he does lose both of his Thrumming Bird and his Stinger to save life here, I think that what we do. Okay, so no, he just takes it. Okay, so it goes down to 6. I'm kind of wondering if we just go Parasitic Implant on this Servant. And that's going to mean we're going to be able to attack with a lot more next turn. He doesn't have that 4 first striking infect power. The best infect creature he's got is the Plague Stinger, so he goes ahead and gives up on that. We have a lot more gas coming, mostly infect, but the non-infect cards is what overwhelmed him. If he was able to even do something about all this stuff, we'd be able to really kill him quickly with our infect cards that we still had in reserve. So that was match 2. We are undefeated with this deck despite having. Did we lose? We didn't lose a game this match, our last match. So despite having an 80 card deck in both first rounds, we made it to the finals, and we'll see what happens at that point.